Okay, so we have some Xreal glasses here, and I'm going to be talking about my experience owning these and some of the problems that I've had. They've also got the Beam products here as well from Xreal. But these are things that I wasn't aware of when I was originally looking into these glasses and doing the research stage and looking at YouTubers. Sadly, YouTubers I don't think they've covered anything on my list, maybe one or two things about the issues that I've had. Part of that, I think, is to do with YouTubers not wanting to upset advertisers and trying to, look friendly towards these companies. But I think the other part of it is, and again, this is not all of them, this is just some of them. Some of them are very critical and point out some really crucial things to know. But I think the other thing is, some of them don't have the products as long as most people own them. I've had these for a couple of months. Sometimes I open the box up and try them out and give first initial impressions, just to keep the content machine going. And sometimes they don't actually have the technical experience required to really give a solid review and analysis of some of the issues. So that's what I'm hoping to do in this video. There's quite a few issues that I want to go over, so let's get to it. So the first one is quality control, and this is a big problem. These glasses no longer work. Okay, now I've had these for maybe 3 or 4 months. Let's see if I can... I haven't dropped them or anything. Let's just make that clear. These, I think, they're maybe $1,600 Australian, particularly when you add that adapter here, or whatever that is. That's the Xreal Eye. That has its own set of problems as well. Monocular slam. It's the first time I've seen it, and there's been some issues with that as well. There's like drift, and sometimes a screen will just go, how can I put my hands there? The screen will go like this and then snap back, and you get a bit of vertigo. But it actually does do 6 off, but with that little proviso that there's definitely an issue there. But we're talking about the quality control. These glasses no longer work, so if I can open them up, and let me just see if I can get the screen up for you. So it comes up with, it can't display, oh, there we go. So I'm getting the rainbow bars. Wait, let me see if I can. I'm just going to have to show you through the lens, if I can get it to work. Yeah, so there you go. Now this is plugged directly into the Beam Pro, so it's one of their own products using their own cable. I have tried another cable because they gave me one with the Air that I have here. So yeah, that's a product that's dead, and I'll talk about why that's so bad in a minute. But let's keep going on the list, because I'm sure you guys are curious to understand what I mean about quality control. Again, this is, it's a 3-month-old product. If you look around, there's no damage. I'll just show you real quick. Hasn't been dropped, always been kept in that case. But yeah, I mean, for something that is less than 12 months old, it's quite sad. So yeah, I have checked that cable. I've tried a number of different cables. I've tried different sources, and in terms of that have DisplayPort alt mode exporting via USB-C cable port, like on a Windows laptop. I've tried it on their own Xreal products, like this one's showing, and I'm still getting those rainbow bars. Anyway, that makes these glasses entirely unusable. So this is the first pair, excuse me, that I bought. Now the issue is that if I can get that to focus, that screw's fallen out. If you can see it on the other side, this happened pretty early on in me owning these glasses, and this one had a lot of quality control issues. Now what's occurred is that as a result of that, this hinge just doesn't work very well. So it's just very flaky, and you can see that there's exposing parts, and probably if you push that a bit too much, the wiring's going to have some issues there. Okay, so then I've also got the issue that this arm snapped. Now I'm not exactly sure. This is in my bag, but I know that there is a bit of a weak point on this. And there's a dead pixel inside this. So this one has had multiple issues. The other one that really annoyed me was that this nose bridge, which I've just removed, because actually I just put this on my cap with a piece of elastic and hang it from my cap on the inside, because that thing really digs into your nose. These little feet were falling off all the time, and I'd have to look on the ground, which is usually black, for something that's also black, and have to put it back in. And there was big issues with this nose bridge. So that was really quite frustrating. But I thought, it's probably an early product from these guys, and that's why I decided to get the One Pro. Let's just turn the display off, has it? Yeah, so that was the first issue. Now, I'll talk about some of the other issues with that's not related to quality control. So one thing that people don't realize, and this is a whole new category of product. So it's quite likely that when you get these, you won't know what to expect and you won't know what types of issues you might have. And one of those, for me, was what I'll describe as specular pass-through. Okay, so these glasses are pass-through. Now, what I didn't realize is that to display black on the glasses, it actually doesn't show you black. It just shows you what's on the other side. So if you're watching a movie, oh no, sorry, that's it. There I'm talking about the color casting. We might as well talk about that. We'll get back to specular pass-through in a second. The color casting is where there's no display of any image like on a pixel, and it just gives you what's behind it. So instead of being black, it's actually just going to show you, if you're looking at a green car, it's going to show you a green color. And that was quite unusual for me. I think it would be quite unusual for most people. You don't actually get a straight black unless you've got a black background that you're looking at. So I'll call that color casting issue. So if you're outside and you're seeing cars pass by, if you're watching a black movie and there's a lot of black parts in it, you're going to see the cars passing through transparently. You're not going to see black like it's a movie. Otherwise, the colors are very vibrant, and this is one thing that reviewers always talk about, but they don't talk about the color casting. Now, the specular pass-through, specular, I just mean is in a highlight, and what's occurring there is that if you've got a bright subject in front of you, like it might be someone wearing a white shirt that's walking past you, and you're looking at maybe you're looking at a I don't know, a laptop, desktop, or something reflective like a car that's driving by, you're going to get that light shining right into your eyes, and it probably doesn't sound like a distracting thing at first. But if you are wearing these glasses, I found that was a really big problem, is that you get these lights from, passing through this part of the glasses, not underneath, but they're passing into the glasses, they're passing through, and you're getting these highlights hit your eyes that are quite distracting, and sometimes it blinds out part of the screen as well. So that was a real disappointment with these glasses as well. And again, this is not something that they've explained on their marketing materials. Now, one thing that gets really strange, you might notice this actually has like a tilted 45-degree angle, the same way as a periscope. Now, if you imagine that underneath this, you're wearing a shirt that's white, or the ground that's white, and you've got the sun on you, you actually see your shirt appearing all here, and you basically can't see anything on the screen. I've done this. I've watched chess outside the state library trying these, and I was wearing a white shirt, and it was like it was just this blinding light. Well, not blinding, but it's very distracting, and the screen isn't bright enough to sort of address that. So this periscope will actually reflect anything that's on my t-shirt or on the ground back into this, and that's why you actually see. This is the old design, but you actually see that they have like this cliff here, or this base, so that will prevent the light from going up into the glasses like this and then reflecting into your eyes. So it's coming from the ground and then into your eyes. So I guess I'd call that periscopic specular pass-through. And that was another issue that I wasn't aware of, but yeah, you're basically going to get anything that's reflected on this 45-degree into your eyes. I'm just going to take a break because I need to get a glass of water with my voice. Okay, so I'm not used to talking so long, so I had to get a glass of water. All right, so you can tell that these are quite unusual things that no reviewer is really talking about, and you can get a sense of where I'm going with this. But these are problems with these glasses that, because they're a whole new category of product that we haven't used before, that we're just not used to these issues. Now, one of the other issues with these glasses were, and I'm not focusing on these ones because the big problem with these is they just don't work anymore. We'll get back to them a little bit later. When you have an image that's being projected straight onto your eyes and it follows you around everywhere, every vibration is translated into this pinned display on your glasses. And you'd be amazed how many micro movements your head makes. It's even to the point where, so basically what you're getting is, imagine a screen in front of you and it's shaking like there's an earthquake, and big movements and small movements as you move your head around. The only way you can address that is by laying down. Now, I remember when I was using these, I even made the observation that I could see my heartbeat because you'd see the display and you'd see it shake every little heartbeat, and it is mega, mega distracting. These guys didn't tell us you need a stabilizer for these glasses. They just have this big picture of a big display in front of you, and that's what sells everyone. But if you don't have a stabilizer, these glasses are not only just useless because of the stabilization, the shakiness that you get from the display that you're looking at, but also because unless you've actually used these glasses, you'd be amazed how much you actually need your neck to turn to look into corners. It's not just your eyes turning or your eyes moving around. Your actual neck and your neck and head will turn, and your eyes as well to look in the corners of screens, particularly for things like start menus if you're using a laptop. And again, these are just things that you wouldn't know because it's a whole new category of product. Okay, so now the other issue is that the field of view. Now I think this one's a bit larger, but even then this isn't sufficient. If you're going to be using a laptop, the field of view isn't sufficient. Now this one's even smaller. There's no way you could use this for anything more than watching a movie. You would be amazed how much your peripheral vision actually plays a part in you navigating your screen. You'd think you'd only need to look at that sweet spot that you're operating in, but that peripheral vision, when you want to jump to the start bar, actually plays a huge role. And I had no idea about this when I first bought these glasses. So, and when that peripheral vision is cut off because you have a limited field of view and it's just cut off like a line, you don't have the advantage of seeing where things are. Yes, that's a big problem. Okay, let's talk about resolution. So these ones can take 1080p, and the displays on them, I believe, are 16 by 9, 1080p. Now, here's the thing. That's what they'll display. You're looking at, like a box like this, right? But your screen is inside that. And sometimes you need to actually fit your screen inside that, but it's actually letterboxed in. Now, the issue is if you're feeding a 1080p image into these glasses, it's not displaying the full image. There's this like border or letterbox around it based on where your eyes are looking. And usually what you want to do is if you're working with a laptop or, like a desktop display inside the glasses or a video, you want to slightly push in the display so that if your head moves around a little bit, it doesn't cut off the top of it. Because again, you're dealing with issues around the field of view. And I'm sorry if this is getting a bit technical. You really need to have purchased these glasses and use them to understand what I'm really talking about here. So you just have to kind of imagine with me. What I'm trying to say is that because you're feeding it a 1080 image, you're not ever going to get a full 1080 image from just the desktop display. You'll get it from the whole glasses, but a lot of the time that's the letterboxing around the sides of these glasses. So that means that you've actually got a lower quality image, and I was getting what I can describe probably as like this kind of light pixelation, because it's, with the text and all that, when you'd move around looking, I don't know how to describe it. It's like this moire effect, or this pixelation that's kind of caused by this very light screen door. I don't know the words to describe it, but as you move around, it's like the words or the characters, like little parts of it are like dancing around a little bit. It's a hard thing to describe, but because it's probably doing anti-aliasing in real time and re-rendering this text to fit in that display. But you're not dealing with something that looks like a high-resolution display. So you're always going to find that a TV or a monitor is going to provide a much better quality display than what you'll get from these glasses, because they're natively displaying 1080. Okay, and these are natively displaying 1080, but then imagine your image is inside that as a rectangle and it's moving around. So these are only one display currently, but that's the thing. So the text isn't as legible. The colors are vibrant. Again, the reviewers love to talk about that and how it's so vibrant, the colors, and it's like having this big 80-inch screen in front of you. It's not really that big. And the other thing is, I don't know how to describe it, but when you put these on, it's not like looking at a normal display. I definitely prefer the comfort of a normal display. Now, they do work in certain situations, like when you're on an airplane. I think those use cases are useful, but for everyday use, for the cost of these, it just wasn't really cutting the mustard for me. And I'm someone who likes to spend on technology, but I think for the average person, it's there's definitely nice things about this. What I will say is that with the glasses, you don't get reflections. So when you look at your laptop, you can actually work in environments in cafes where there's direct sunlight behind you. And I kind of enjoyed that, but again, with a dead pair of glasses, you can't enjoy that. That's the problem. Okay, let's move on to software. So they have this thing called Nebula. I kind of suspected it wouldn't be very good when I first started playing with the glasses. Now, one of the issues is that it takes time, apart from plugging this cable into the Beam Pro or the Beam, it takes, and even turning the device on because it's a secondary device. You don't usually keep it charged. So another device to keep charged, another device to carry around. But the Nebula, I thought, wasn't going to be very good. And one of the issues I remember is that even if you could just use Chrome, I remembered they have, this is from my memory, they had a browser in there, but it wasn't the same browser as what I was using on my mobile phone. So even I had to reload in all the passwords, the cookies. It didn't remember any of my URLs. So I think it didn't allow me to use Chrome browser inside it. And that way, if I'm using Chrome browser, then I can just log in. And all my bookmarks, all my cookies, everything is there, and it's just much more fast. But if I'm dealing with this, and now I've got to type in passwords, that Nebula software wasn't very good. There's a lot of other issues I remember having with it, like just positioning windows around the place. I just was really just not a fan of it. Oh yeah, and I should have mentioned as part of the quality control, this is actually the second one of these that I've owned. This one, well, the one that I originally had died in the sense that when it would look to charge, I'd plug in the cable and I'd just show red. And again, I've tried multiple cables and different adapters and that sort of thing. I just ended up buying a new one and throwing the old one out. So this is the new one. And they did have a good feature at one point, again, talking about the software. They had Chromecast, so you could actually Chromecast your videos from YouTube onto that, but that no longer works. I've tried that a few times and I think I updated the firmware. I tried it a few times, it didn't work. I then started using, the other use case I had for this was using my laptop with it. So you'd plug in a cable there and I'd pass through the display. I think there was a little bit of latency with this device. I'm just trying to remember back, but ultimately what happened is that the cable was somehow disconnecting, or there was some connector going wrong. I had a cable going to my laptop. It was a bit of a mess. Cable going to my glasses, and it just wasn't, it would connect for a little bit and then disconnect, and I have issues connecting. So again, it was just the quality control is just all over the shop. And I'll talk about some of the reasons why I think that's the case with these guys, because everything else looks to be really professional, but the quality control and customer support is just really a big problem. And we'll talk about why that could be an issue for you as well, because it was for me. Some little issues are that you'll notice that with the cables, I actually have a little bulldog clip on it. And again, this is something that you wouldn't be aware of. Actually, Vitch has done this really well because their device actually sits on your shoulder. So this will clip onto my shirt. Now, the issue is this cable will go taut as it starts to loosen down your neck, and the weight of the cable will pull it down. And now, as you turn your head left or right to look at your screen, because again, when you're looking at your display, you're not just using your eyes to look in corners. You're turning your head as well. So when you're turning, this goes taut against your neck and actually, there gets tension. It's kind of annoying. So that's why I do this. I clip it on and that gives it some slack. But again, this is just something the reviewers don't tell you about it. Little comfort things. If you're using this thing every day like I was, you got to have this thing clip on. So that means you're putting your glasses on, you're plugging it in, then you're putting this thing on. And even just setting up your laptop was kind of like the process and the steps involved for setting up an external display. It's not just a quick connect and go affair. Not a huge thing, but something I thought was worthwhile mentioning. Now, I can't remember all the specific issue I was having with the Beam Pro, but I no longer use that either. So basically everything here I no longer use. I can't remember the specifics, but again, this relied on Nebula. It's asking me to log in again and update before I can use the glasses. And again, I don't want to do this every time I plug in my glasses. the thing should just work. Okay, I don't want to plug it into my laptop and then set up my glasses, put them on my face, bulldog clip that thing to my t-shirt. It's just a pain for people that want to up and go regularly. So but yeah, again, I just don't use this device. I can't actually remember why. I think maybe this wasn't working correctly, but again, it was just a mess on my table with 2 sets of cables, this thing and another device that you need to carry around. So yeah, I no longer use the Beam Pro, but I use it for like just normal Android things. Now I have tried these sort of controllers, and I've used them with Samsung DeX. I stopped using that setup as well. I just found that both of these controllers just weren't good for on-the-move usage. What you really need to have, and this is one of the key things I'll probably say, is that these glasses need to develop to the point that you have, eye tracking like you have on the Apple Vision Pro. These external devices just aren't suitable. Maybe the Meta Ray-Ban display neural wristband is going to be a little bit different and a bit more of an elegant solution, but this is just another thing you need to carry around, and neither of them really worked particularly well. But again, the big issue is just the quality control and the customer service. So actually, before I go on, so that is a different product. This is their little Xreal Eye, and again, it's a 6-DoF monocular slam, so it gives you 6 degrees of freedom. So it feels like the display is in 3. So when you move your head forward, the display moves as well. Oh, so no, the display stays in place, like it's a three-dimensional monitor stuck in space. But again, when you're using this, what will actually occur is that the display will actually go from like this to snap right like that on its side, and then it goes back up again. It really throws you off in that moment. So I'm not too happy. And I think that's got to do with the fact that this is just a single monocular slam, and that's why you have companies like Meta using 4 different cameras for slam. And sometimes even as few as 2, but I've never seen a monocular slam before. So also probably the processor on board doesn't have a lot of ability, a lot of processing guts to process the image coming through. So maybe that's another reason why. But again, the company looks really good. Like, they make these really impressive marketing boxes and everything looks good. And I think the capability, what they're building is very interesting. But because we haven't seen this category of product before, there's a lot of things you wouldn't expect. And the other issue is that these companies, they're not like Apple. And I think there's, my opinion is, and this is me speculating, but there's a really big push to get product out the door. There's these supply chains that are being developed and manufacturing that are being developed and ramped up. And everything is moving at breakneck speed. And you've just got these products being pushed out the door. That's why I had 1 defective product, 2 defective products. This one's had all kinds of quality control issues. And of course, all the software is just an absolute mess. So I've basically got $2,000 Australian or more worth of equipment here that just no longer works, or pretty much no longer works. And this is the worst part. This is probably the worst part out of all of it. They won't replace these glasses. They sent me an email. I said my glasses aren't working anymore. I had a big, long conversation. Now, the really frustrating part is they wouldn't come out and say that. I said, so are you refusing to replace my glasses? And they say, oh, we're not refusing to. We just blah, blah, blah. They just give you the typical customer service stuff. So then you have to box them into a corner and say, okay, so you're not going to refund it, you're not going to replace it, and you're not going to repair it. So this is, $1,600, including that Xreal Eye that just is no longer working, and the other stuff is just basically electronic junk to me anyway. So I'm kind of disappointed by that. It's definitely the worst probably tech purchases I've made in a while. But you see this marketing campaign that looks really impressive, but at the end of the day, if you've got a production line that can't keep up, and this is the issue that Immersors had with their visor, I just think they're having production hell as well. And the other part of it is, if you look at the incentives these companies have, they have, if you look at Apple, they get their money from customers, okay? And so their reputation is really important. When you look at new startups and these Kickstarter campaigns and all this, these guys are just trying to get to a working product, okay? And their money, a lot of the time, is actually coming from capital raises. So it's more about them demonstrating the ability of their glasses and the functionality, and showing that people are actually buying them in the first place, versus, trying to build a solid reputation. I think that's probably, in my estimation, one of the few, latter things that they'd be talking about. What they're really trying to do at this point, maybe not this, I don't know, maybe Xreal is like this, I don't know. But they're just trying to survive, and they're trying to make a dent in the marketplace. They're trying to deal with all of the manufacturing bottlenecks that they're in, the supply chain bottlenecks that they're having, and they're just trying to get this as a functional product. So, all the things around customer service maybe aren't such a big concern. Around the quality assurance of these glasses probably isn't that great, but that's been my experience, and I was a bit disappointed by this because I think otherwise they're probably a pretty cool little company, but my experience just hasn't been that good, and that's why I can't recommend them. But when a company is saying that they're not going to replace the glasses or they're not going to repair them, and they give you the runaround, and they're not going to refund you, it is a bit disappointing, so. But look, I think in a couple of years, and I'm kind of sad to say that because I really want to have things move more quickly, but you really need to have good quality products. You need to have a solid team doing customer service, replacements, and warranty, and all the rest of it. And again, these are like 3 or 4 months old there. Yeah. And I think the other thing is you need to have high resolution displays, because you do get that kind of pixelation stuff occurring. And that's what I'd be waiting for if you want to buy this product. I'd be waiting for a pair of glasses that have eye tracking as well, a larger field of view, and definitely it's going to take a while for the software to catch up. And this has definitely been the case with the Nebula, and even what these guys have built. I mean, this is their first physical unit that they had, and it just really didn't perform that well. It was a very simplistic interface. It couldn't do much. And even that YouTube thing stopped working. So I think actually what happened potentially with these guys is that they moved on to the next shiny thing because they had constrained resources, and they just weren't supporting their products in terms of the software and the firmware releases, because they'd moved past them. It was more about, as I said, in my estimation, pushing out a product, showing it to investors, just trying to get it to work, and not about being one of these companies that says, hey, we're going to stand behind our product for the next 10 years or 5 years or whatever it is. The Google Pixels are good like that, because they have 7 years long-term LTS, long-term support. So they do a very good job of that. And this is all stuff you don't really think about. YouTubers don't talk about it. They don't talk about all the quality assurance issues. They don't talk about all the potential areas that these things can go wrong, or the fact that these products are a whole new category that, you're dealing with things like chromatic aberration, color fringing, barrel distort, all kinds of things in the optics and the displays that you wouldn't be dealing with, that you wouldn't be used to dealing with, because you've come from a world of flat displays, not glasses. So it's definitely a learning experience for me. I hope that you guys have maybe learned something from it, but this is all stuff I wish I knew before I bought these glasses, and hopefully reviewers in the future will put some more information out there. But I think a lot of the time they're just trying to keep advertisers happy, and and they just don't have a lot of time with products because they're just making so many videos all the time and trying to keep up with the algorithm. But I'm optimistic for the future of these things, but I would give it a couple of years, guys. Certainly none of these products or the state that this company is producing stuff in. Sadly, I mean, just based on my experience, you can do your own reviews on where they're at, but and what other people have said. But I probably wouldn't be buying the next round of products. I'd be looking for maybe 2 years, see what's coming out then. Anyway, hope that's useful. See ya. Bye.